Schaefer. She is the executive director of the Independent Women's Forum, and she joins us from Washington, D.C. Sabrina, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Our previous guest had a similar theme. She said that we watched the over-militarization of police forces because it was a matter of government solving the problems and not putting the needs of the people first. You are saying that progressives have come to the point where they've put out the narrative that government can solve all our ills, solve all our problems, and it's time for women to say, wait, that is not the answer. Not just all Americans, but in particular women. Tell us why.
Well, I think a lot of women, like men, believe that the country is headed in the wrong direction. But our side, the liberty movement, whether you're conservatives, libertarians, Republicans, have failed to consistently and effectively communicate with women about limited government policies. And so it's our attempt in this book, Lean Together, to really talk about all of the issues from healthcare to energy policy, food and agriculture, the workplace, you name it, we're talking about it to really give women something to grab onto and to say, hey, we don't have to be afraid of these kind of free market policies.
Okay, Sabrina, it's interesting you bring that up. There's so much going through my head right now listening to your answer. A couple weeks ago, let's start with point number one. A couple weeks ago, Karl Rove wrote in one of the leading newspapers that Republicans have a problem with the woman voter. I happen to believe that's not the story. I think Republicans have a messaging problem with the female voter. I don't know what Republicans stand for today at the national level. I mean, there's no unified message coming out. Democrats are always making accusations about race, gender preference, income, and have Republicans reacting, backpedaling. Would you agree? It's not that Republicans have a female problem, a woman problem. They have a messaging problem.
Well, we have a little bit of both. I mean, the reality is we do have a women vote problem, right? President Obama won unmarried women by 35 points in 2012. So that is a political problem. But you're right that it really comes down to messaging. I don't think that free market policies are something that women shouldn't grab onto. I think that we haven't done a good job effectively communicating what that really means. That owning and controlling your healthcare dollars, for instance, is a fair and more compassionate approach. That having a $17 trillion debt is also not fair. It's not compassionate. But we haven't talked in these terms, and I think the reason is that conservatives are so afraid of pandering the way the left does that they ignore gender differences. They ignore that men and women are not the same and that we have different interests and preferences and policy concerns, and that's okay.
Why do you suppose that the Democrats do so strong with unmarried women? But if I have I'm going from memory here, I believe Mitt Romney won the married women demographic.
Yeah.
Why the disparity?
Well, I mean, I think that some of this is just that when you have when you're married, you have sort of built-in security. You have not only a spouse, but you very often have the community that comes with that marriage. I mean, when you're unmarried and if you have less education and you don't have a family and maybe you have children and you're also not married, that is a vulnerable position to be in, and that does pose unique challenges. And so government can seem like the best answer. And I don't disparage women who say, hey, I need an extra helping hand. We believe that we should help people. And I think that's part of the theme of Lean Together, is that we don't want to have a go-it-alone society. We don't want to turn our backs on people who truly are in need. But what we don't want is to rely on government so much that it crowds out our civic society, because that's what makes America unique and it makes it special. And that's what, in the past, has always helped people who have fallen on hard times.
I feel that people who are married have are more self-responsible people than who are unmarried. I'm not making a judgment call here. I'm just saying it's a reality of life that when you're responsible for other people, it makes you a different person. I hear you saying that the unmarried person feels vulnerable. I feel that Republicans do better with married women because the person who understands self-responsibility and has more experience in life self-identifies better with the Republican Party. Am I wrong?
Well, no, I think you might be right that there's a self-selection process, certainly, and that it's easier for someone like myself who is married and has that support network to sort of say that I am, able to be self-reliant, and I could feel a little bit more confident in that way. Still, we have some major challenges for women and for girls in this country. I don't think it's the grim picture that the president and Democrats in Congress like to paint, but I also don't want to be Pollyannish and ignore that there are challenges for that unmarried working mother who might be, having a hard time. And we want to make sure that she has the greatest amount of opportunity and choice and flexibility. And that's why so many of the progressive policies would actually backfire and hurt that woman that they are intended to protect.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no question. I would agree with you 1,000%. An unmarried working mother is someone that needs some attention from society. You said those policies would backfire against that individual. How so?
Well, look, one of the favorites of Democrats is this notion that they can micromanage wages through equal pay mandates. This is something that sounds good. It sounds compassionate. Who doesn't want to make sure that women and men are making the same amount? Of course, it's not the full story. This notion that women only make 77 cents on the dollar is grossly overstated. And
Right.
what's not told as part of the story is that if you pass a law like the Paycheck Fairness Act, it's going to increase the cost of employing women. It's going to make businesses much more vulnerable to lawsuits, and it's not going to actually get at the problem. The problem, so to speak, is that more women choose to take time out of the workplace to be with children, or maybe to care for aging parents. Women and men are making different choices, and I think Americans recognize that, and that government can't fix that.
Sabrina Schaefer, we're down to less than 30 seconds. In a soundbite, probably unfair of me to ask this, but in a soundbite, give us an example of what you believe the Republican Party's messaging ought to be to women in America.
Look, I think the thing that women can recognize is that they want strong communities and schools and religious institutions. They want to be involved. Women are organizers. Women like to have community. They don't need more government. They need stronger communities to help one another. I think that's a message that will resonate with lots and lots of women, married, unmarried, rural, urban, young, old.
Sabrina Schaefer, your book is called Lean Together, an agenda for smarter government, stronger communities, and more opportunity for women. Thank you for joining us.